Hi dear ones, I welcome you in the series of lectures of physics. Today we are going to study the topic of light of class 10th. So in this particular topic light, there are certain subtopics: sources of light, luminous and non-luminous objects, reflection, types of reflection, reflectance, laws of reflection, image, types of images, and difference between the types of images. So we'll directly start with the topic light. Light is the form of energy which gives us the sensation of vision. Light is a form of energy which gives us the sensation of vision. What does it mean? It means that it is that form of energy which enables us to see the objects. Like I have a chalk piece. I am able to see this chalk piece because of light. Light is falling on this chalk piece, and that reflected light is coming to my eye, and hence I am able to see the object. I am able to see this chalk piece. Will I be able to see the same chalk piece in the dark room? No. Why? Because there is no light. As there is no light, the light will not be reflected and I will not be able to see this chalk piece. This is why the light is very, very important in enabling us to see the objects. So that is about the light. Now we will start with about the sources of light. Sources. So light, when we talk about the light, the biggest source of light for the earth is sun. Solar energy. Sunlight is the biggest source of energy. Another source is candle. Burning candle is another source of light. We have another sources of light is a lighted bulb. Lamp is a source of energy. So these are the sources of energy. Then we have luminous and non-luminous objects. What is luminous object and what is non-luminous object? The objects which have their own light and are able to emit them. The objects which emit their own light are known as luminous objects, and objects which do not emit the light are known as non-luminous objects. So sunlight is emitting its own light, luminous object. Burning candle is emitting its own light, luminous object. Bulb is emitting its own light, luminous object. Non-luminous object, chair, desk, these are all non-luminous objects. Whatever the objects which are not emitting light are comes in the category of non-luminous object. Now we will go to the another topic, that is reflection. But before starting the reflection, we should know one important term called as ray, which is the basis of ray optics. Ray optics. So we should know what exactly the meaning of ray. Ray is the path of light traveled in a transparent medium. Light travels from one place to another place. So the path which it follows is known as the ray of light. So this is a very simple term of ray. And with the help of these rays, we are able to draw the diagrams in the optics, and that is why it is having importance. So we will start with very important phenomenon of light. Very, very important phenomenon of light called as the reflection. Reflection. As such, we know the word, or we are familiar with the word reflection, but exact meaning of reflection, exact definition of reflection of light has to be studied properly. It is the bouncing back of light in the same medium. So when it is a phenomenon of physics, so phenomenon of bouncing back of light in the same medium is called as reflection. So we will see it here. Suppose this is a plane surface, the plane reflecting surface. So for reflection I am polishing it from one side. So this polishing will ensure that the light is reflected. So this is the reflecting surface of the mirror and this is the polished surface of the mirror. Ray of light is falling on the surface. So this is the light falling on the surface, reflecting surface, called as incident ray. This is the incident ray. When it will fall on the surface, it gets bounces back in the same medium. It bounces back in the same medium. And this bouncing ray or this bounced ray is called as a reflected ray. So this is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray. Phenomenon of bouncing back of light in the same medium is known as reflection. So incident ray, this is the reflected ray, and I'll drop a perpendicular here. We call it as normal. I am representing it by ON, incident ray by PO, and reflected ray by OQ. So OQ is the reflected ray, PO is the incident ray, ON is the normal to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence. Angle made by incident ray with the normal is known as angle of incidence. Very important term, angle of incidence. See, one is the incident ray and another is the angle of incidence. So, angle between the incident ray and normal at the point of incidence is called as angle of incidence. Similarly, the angle made by reflected ray with the normal at the point of incidence is known as angle of reflection. So, this angle of incidence is always found to be equal to the angle of reflection. This is mathematically as well as practically proven that angle I is equals to angle R. So that has become the part of laws of reflection. So angle I is equals to angle R. So these are the angles I and R. Apart from that, I have another angles, these angles. Very few people talk about these angles. These are the angle made by the incident ray with the reflecting surface. So angle made by the incident ray with the reflecting surface is called as glancing angle of incidence, and the angle made by the reflected ray with the reflecting surface is called as the glancing angle of reflection. So this is the glancing angle of incidence and this is the glancing angle of reflection. These two angles are always equal. As these two angles are equal, these two angles have to be equal, and therefore these two angles are also equal. So this is the reflection. So reflection, in the topic of reflection, we have seen the term incident ray, reflected ray, normal, angle of incidence, angle of reflection, glancing angle of incidence, and glancing angle of reflection. Now we'll go to the another next topic, that is types of reflection. The first type of reflection is regular reflection. Regular reflection. Regular, word itself is telling it is regular. Regular means it will have some regularity. Okay, so it is defined in such a way that if I have a reflecting surface, plane reflecting surface, and if the parallel beam of light is falling on it, like this is the parallel beam of light falling on the surface. When the parallel beam of light falls on the surface, the reflected rays are also parallel to each other. Reflected rays are also parallel to each other. So parallel beam of light is falling on the surface and the reflected rays are also parallel to each other. Then such type of reflection is known as regular reflection. Another one is the irregular reflection. Irregular reflection. What happens in case of irregular reflection? Rays are coming parallel to each other. The surface, first of all, surface is uneven. Surface is uneven. Parallel beam of light is coming and falling. But the reflected rays are not parallel to each other. Reflected rays are not parallel to each other. Why? Why? Because it follows laws of reflection. Here also laws of reflections are followed, and therefore it is going along this direction, this is going along this direction. So rays of light are coming parallel to each other, but the reflected rays are not parallel to each other because they are falling on uneven surface. So this type of reflection is known as irregular reflection. Whether it is a regular reflection or it is an irregular reflection, laws of reflections are always followed.